What have I done? So this thing is pretty well clapped out, being 100 and some odd years old. 1880, 1889. There's a patent number on this piece here. October 21st, 1880. And then on this arm, the crank arm, May 7th, 1889. I'm just gonna say it's an 1889, and they used old shelf parts back there, but so pretty well sloppy, lots and lots of wear. I rebushed this, chucked this up in the lathe, bored it out, got a piece of bronze in there, moves nice and free. I mean, it's pretty well tightened that up. I'm gonna have to tighten this piece, then this piece here, which rides between the two rails. There's a little bit of movement in that. I don't know if you can see the movement in that, but this piece is actually made out of bronze in the other shaper, so I may turn a piece like this up in some bronze. I'll have to measure these ways, I guess you could call them. I'll have to measure these up and see if there's some, you know, problems with parallelism. And then the shaft that ran through here has a gear on it that contacts your big bull gear, and in order for it to get through that hole, there was so much wear on the gear, it basically expanded the gear so that it wouldn't fit through this hole anymore. So I could stick my arm in through that hole and hold a file against the flats of the gear here on the other one, of course, and then just turn the shaft and file the gear tops, the crest, I guess you could call that. File this portion flat so that it would fit through the hole. Got her punched through, and there's a little bit of play in this one here. This bushing might need to be redone. That one definitely needs to be redone. I've already got this one fixed right there. And this is the shaft. So there's a bit of wear on the gear teeth, but this is all one piece, so that might prove to be a bit of an issue for me to make one of these. I've never really made a gear before. I don't know. I think I'm just going to clean it up, and we'll see what happens. Chances are, you know, you can't buy that part. You could basically contract somebody to make it, I'm sure. So that's rebushing all of that, and I'll have to take some measurements of this guy here, which the little slider guy sits on. It's you can see there's a bit of wear in that. So I'm guessing this, I don't know, it doesn't look like this piece. This piece may be pressed in from the back into this piece. I highly doubt that it was all one. I don't know. I'm gonna have to tear this apart here and see if this is concentric. It's worn to the point where I think it should be either, I don't know, turned down and bushed with this piece or something. Something's got to get fixed in that, and then I'll tear into all of this stuff, and the length of stroke parts. We'll look at that and see where we're at with fixing that. Well, happy days working on machinery. Oh. Yep. That's not a good sign. Was making a racket, and then it just up and quit. Kind of looks like that capacitor shit the bed. Shit got a little serious. Had to pull the motor off. Some smoke came out of it. Made a terrible hissing sound. And that little capacitor decided to let all of its good stuff out. Which leads me to the motor. If you can see in there, little, come on, focus. Little contacts are neatly welded together. Now, according to the motor gurus and those that are in the know, this little centrifugal switch deal, when it spins up, it's only supposed to contact for like half a second or a very short amount of time. And when it contacts like that and it welds itself together, that means a whole lot of current, starting current, is contained in the capacitor, and the capacitor heats up to the point where it explodes. And that's what happened to this this Precision Matthews 940 mil, 940M mil. So finding parts for this is going to be a bit of a chore. I've already spoken with the local motor repair shop, and they're like, they didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot stick because it's a metric motor or something. I mean, yeah, I opened it up, I brought the motor down there, and they're like, what the hell is that? So either they're not that reputable, or they just don't want to deal with it. I think they're you know, a licensed ball door repair center, blah blah blah, deal with American made products only type of situation. I did contact PM, and I'm waiting on a return email from them about whether or not they actually have parts that they can send me, or what, maybe a whole new motor. I did test the resistance, and everything seems to be okay there. It's not grounded, at least. What is this fine dust stuff in here? That doesn't look good. I'll have to hose that out. That might have been part of the problem. Just an ingress of dust. It looks like there may be a bit of oil in there. It's pretty shiny. Maybe I can, pardon the handhold crazy, so I can poke some down in there. Maybe it's just shiny because it's been laminated, and it's a, maybe that isn't oil. Maybe that's just a shiny something or other for a coating. Yeah, that's just a coating. All right. There is a bit of grease. I mean, there's some grease, and I did clean grease off of this. So maybe a bit of grease got stuck down in there, and that's what led to the failure. For now, I don't know what to do besides try to separate them contacts and repair this switch and see if I can get back to milling. I was going to set this crank arm from the old shaper up in the milling machine and bore this out like I did with the other piece, you know, bore this out to 1.5 inches. That way, you know, bore it out to 1.5, press a bushing in, and then rebore that to fit this pin. There's a bit more looseness in there than I care to acknowledge. I don't like it. This one is in really, I did this one. No real movement whatsoever. I think there's like 1/1000th of an inch of difference. So a 1/2 thou per side makes for a nice tight slip fit. But yeah, I guess we're on hold now, waiting on mill parts.